right, so we did a walkthrough tour of this property on Wilson that we are buying. Purchase price is $130,000. The ARV is $230,000. We have a nice margin that we're looking at, and obviously very excited about the profit. One of the questions we get a lot is, what are costs on rehab? How do you break down a rehab? What's it cost to rehab a bathroom, redo a bathroom, kitchen, flooring, the whole 9 yards? And so we went through the house room by room and broke it down. I wanted to just kind of encompass that so you could see it in writing on a whiteboard, and we're going to go through the rehab in a little bit more of a detailed breakdown. So let me just kind of walk up to the board here. So this is the breakdown of costs. We got the interior here and the exterior on this side. Let's go ahead and start with the exterior. So we're going to landscape the property. It's going to be about $1,500. And that's going to make it look beautiful on the outside. Mulch and garden beds and plants, cutting back some of the bushes. $1,500 in our world, landscape goes a long way. As far as the garage doors, you remember the doors were kind of looked a little older and not so good. And it's one of the first things you're going to see when you drive up to the property, walk up to the property. So having new doors, whether they're just plain white, which is what I suspect we'll end up doing, regardless, you're going to have brand new garage doors. And remember, as a buyer to the home, the first things you see are going to give you a first impression, right? Only get one chance to make a first impression. So curb appeal and the things that people see walking up is going to be really, really important. We have an $1,800 charge on that as well, or cost. We're able to get the house painted for $2,165. That includes paint. And I said this in the house, I'm going to say it again. The contractors that we work with are investor type property rehab contractors. There's not a definition for that kind, but I can tell you that we're not going to the premier renovation, top-notch contractors. That's not who we're looking for. We're looking for guys that work on investment properties, and there's a distinct difference. You would never get these prices from a premium contracting firm that would go to your personal residence and do work in your house. These are for rehab type properties, and I hope I'm explaining that the right way, but these are prices that we're accustomed to paying, that you should be accustomed to paying as well. So painting the house with paint included for $2,165 is a good price. We're also giving the contractor the whole job. So when they bid it, this is a portion of the job. If this was by itself, could it be a little higher? Possibly. But at the end of the day, these are the numbers that we have, and these are numbers that you should be looking at in these general ranges. So about $2,100 to paint the outside of the home. And in this case, if we're going to roof it, we're going to end up re-roofing it, which is going over the top of the existing shingles. And that's about $9,000. If you had to rip up the shingles and the board underneath it, that's a cost that's going to be a lot higher. In this case, we don't have to do that. This is what's called a re-roof, and it's about $9,000. So $5,465 is the total plus the $9,000. Now the roof is in decent shape. We're not sure if we're going to have to do it as a whole, but we want to at least price it out so you guys knew what that cost would be. So get the outside really cleaned up and in good shape, pick up the yard a bit. It's going to look like a totally different place once we do these things. So let's go ahead and go to the inside. Now I went through these when we were in the home, but I want to just kind of break them down so you can see them in a little bit easier to understand order. So the bathrooms were $5,200 per bathroom. We broke those down, and there's 2 of them in there, so that's going to be a total of $10,400. The windows, you're paying about $300 per window. That includes labor and installation. So we've got about 11 of those crank windows. Remember the cranks? So we're going to have about $3,300 in expenses in windows should we choose to replace all 11. I can tell you windows are a big selling feature. Brand new windows look really, really good. And if you live in an area where it gets really cold out, which is not Florida, having windows that have good seals and can keep the heat in is going to affect the bill for the heat, and ultimately can be a big value add. So new windows aesthetically as well as practically can be a big selling feature. Paint. I think that we've got a pretty good price here. It's about $4,600 to texture the whole house and paint the whole house, including the ceiling. So that includes the actual knockdown texture on the walls, which means they've got to go and texture the entire house, let that dry, and then paint the entire house, including the ceilings. That includes the paint. I don't think that's a bad price. In fact, I think it's a pretty good price. $4,600 to paint and texture the entire house. The flooring, as you remember, we ripped up the carpet in the living room area. Hardwood floors. It's hardwood in the bedrooms as well, in the hallway. And so for about $850, we're able to get that sanded and get a coat of varnish or stain on it. It's going to make those things pop. And frankly, walking into a place with really good looking hardwood floors, again, is a big selling feature. even if the hardwood has a little character to it, right? That actually is aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So if it's got some things in it, when you have a fresh coat of varnish on it, it's going to look really, really good. And in older homes, sometimes you have blemishes and things like that. That's okay. That's kind of par for the course. As far as the kitchen's concerned, remember, we're going to take the walls out. We're going to save the cabinets as a whole, and we're going to be able to get out of there for about $3 to $4 grand. That includes the flooring for the kitchen. Now, if you had to replace kitchen cabinets, you're talking about probably another $8,000 to $10,000, depending on the caliber of the cabinet. Remember, you're not going to live there. Don't make it the Taj Mahal. In fact, I was talking to one of our affiliates last night, and he's doing some work on his personal residence, getting ready to sell. And he was doing the same thing, and easy to kind of muddy that water. You live in this house, you're trying to sell the house that you live in. Of course, you want to make it the Taj Mahal. Common logic would think that it's got to be pristine and perfect, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the caliber of cabinets, the caliber of the light fixtures, the caliber of the replacement parts can dictate a lot and certainly add a lot to your cost. You want to make sure that the caliber of the material fits with the price point of the home. And so in this case, replacing cabinets is going to be another $8,000 to $10,000 grand. If you're going to replace cabinets at a really nice home that you lived at, it might be 2 or 3 times that expense. So remember, this is for investment property with investment type contractors, investor contractors, excuse me. Brand new stainless steel appliances are going to run you between $2 and $3 grand. And again, you walk into a house with brand new appliances, that can be a big selling feature. So that's always an expense that I'm big on advocating, because again, walking in and having a brand new refrigerator, stainless steel, is definitely going to be a selling feature. Remember the garage. We thought there were a few things with the electric. I don't think it's going to be $4 grand, but we're factoring between $2,000 and $4,000. Sometimes when you don't know, you want to give yourself a little bit of a cushion there. I'd be real surprised if we were as high as 4. We think it's going to be closer to 2, and there's a chance it could be a lot less than that, but I'd rather plan for it and come out in a better position than the opposite, right? You don't want to not plan for the unforeseen and then have it happen. So if you know that there could be something with the electric, I'd rather have you plan a little bit of a cushion, and then you'll be in a better place if you don't have to do the work. I put these together because these are small costs, but together they add up, but still don't end up costing a lot of money. 6-panel doors, about $40 a piece. Again, freshly coated house, freshly textured walls and ceilings, and you put brand new white 6-panel doors for $40 a door. It looks fantastic. You have brand new paint job, and I've seen this so many times, brand new texture, brand new paint job, and they leave the old switch plate covers on the electrical outlets and on the light switches. Man, they're like $2 a cover. Replace them with brand white, good-looking switch plates, and it makes the rooms pop. I've seen it many, many times, and it's always made me scratch my head. So you're going to put 6-panel doors, ceiling fans. Everybody likes ceiling fans. You're about $100 a fan. Blinds, $20 to $40. Very, very inexpensive. Switch plate covers, light fixtures in rooms that need them that you don't want to put ceiling fans. Collectively, all these add up to about $1,000. But they're such a difference maker. The devil absolutely can lie in the detail here. And of course, we talked about our good friend and resident in tenant, Mr. Murphy. Guys, are there things that we missed on this rehab? And the answer is categorically yes. There's going to be some things that we didn't factor, we didn't think about, didn't see. You open up a wall, we didn't think about that plumbing, potential plumbing leak, or whatever the issues are. There's going to be some things that you miss. So a swag factor, scientific, wild, you know what guess, is about 5%. I'd love to tell you that you're not going to need to factor in Mr. Murphy, and hopefully you won't. But in my experience, there's always something that doesn't go perfectly. So remember, I said this in the house. Go into the job understanding there's going to be some hiccups, there's going to be some bumps. It's part of what makes it fun, especially if you view it as such. You're going to find some things that you didn't think about when you were doing your numbers and factoring your rehab. So just have a little bit of a cushion for an oversight or a mistake or Mr. Murphy. So together, the rehab is about $36,000. There's a plus down there because we didn't want to forget Mr. Murphy. There could be some things in here that may go one direction or the other. We may be $4 grand in the electric. We may be $2 grand in the electric. We'll see when we get in there. But at the end of the day, total rehab for this job is going to be between $36,000 and let's say $40,000 if we want to take it the entire way. So the purpose of this was to break down the rehab, show you the real example, and ultimately what we think we're going to do to it to make it to its top value. And these are the correlating costs. So I'm going to next put together a breakdown of the 3 options that we have and how we end up selling it. What does it look like? What does the math look like at the end of the day? How much money are we going to make, which is what we're looking for, obviously, at the end of the day. This is all great, educational, but it boils down to the profit. That's why we're here. So this should give you a good idea, a good understanding of the correlating costs when you're renovating a house. This is a fairly extensive renovation. A lot of things to do here. The next question is, what's next? Do we go for the full dollar? Do we do all of these things? Do we do some of these things, let a buyer maybe take the rest cosmetically? I'll define that here in the next video. Hopefully this gives you a good idea. Hopefully you can use this as a reference point for jobs you're doing, for comparison to other contractor bids. And again, it can be a template or a reference for you to use. So that is the breakdown, and I'm going to tell you in the next video what we're going to do and what the monetary denominations look like when it's all boiled down and how much profit we're going to make. So I'll catch you on the next video.